What is the difference between bleed and no bleed? This is something you absolutely must know if you are self-publishing low-content books on Amazon KDP so that you can make great designs without error. Hello and welcome to or back to Passive Income Templates. My name is Laura and today we are answering the top question I get asked about Kindle Direct Publishing. What is bleed? As well as what is the difference between bleed and no bleed and which one do I choose? Bleed is a printing term that refers to when printed objects on a page, such as images, background color, or graphics, extend past where the publication will be trimmed. Setting your bleed properly ensures printed objects reach all the way to the edge of the page. Accounting for bleed is important because it prevents a white border from appearing at the edge of the page when the book is trimmed. If you're a visual person like me, think of something like a big full-color coffee table book for something that's more likely than not printed with bleed, and something like your standard novel is something that doesn't have elements that go to the very end of the page, so that's more than likely a book that is printed without bleed and without needing to be trimmed. Something important to consider is even if one page in your interior requires bleed, then your entire file should be set up with bleed. Either way you choose, your book will end up at the same finished trim size. This is a screenshot of the exact sizes that you will work with, whether you choose bleed or no bleed. And this is from the set trim size, bleed, and margins page on Amazon KDP. And it's a page with a lot of info that I recommend reading and bookmarking for future reference. No bleed keeps all the printed elements a minimum of 0.25 inches away from the paper's edge. These are the margins you must work within. Because it's difficult for printing equipment to apply ink up to the cut edge of a sheet of paper. And in just a moment, I will show you how to set up your margins in Canva. When you are working with bleed, an extra 0.125 inches is added to the width and 0.25 inches is added to the height. So in the example of a 6x9 no bleed document, this size will be bumped up to 6.125 by 9.25 to add bleed. This extra 0.125 inches and 0.25 inches is added so that it can be sliced off for a really beautiful, clean, printed result. So what should you keep in mind about designing for a bleed versus a no bleed interior? You should include bleed in your interior file if you have any images, backgrounds, or illustrations in your book that you want to reach the edge of the page. This is the format you will need to choose. Here I've created example notebook pages. On the left is a no bleed interior, and as you can see, there are a few more parameters to work within, namely the 0.25 inch margin around all four sides of the page. All of my lines and this flower graphic that you see at the top are contained within that very margin. Now, if you wanted to create a notebook with lines and graphics that extend all the way to the ends of a page, you will need to choose with bleed. When you are in Canva and you want to create a no bleed document that is absolutely well within the margins, you can do one of two things. As you can see here, I'm working with an 8.5 by 11 inch no bleed document. And one thing that I quite often do is use the margins that Canva provides. There's kind of this magenta colored box that you can see will pop up. Quite often I just use that if I'm just going to be creating a no bleed document. Otherwise, what you can do is go to File and add rulers, show rulers, and it will bring up a ruler on either side of your document. Just in the case that you want to make the most of a little bit more of this space on the side here. Like I said, you do have 0.25 inches on all sides that you can work within. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I'm pressing Control plus. Just going to go in all the way here, scroll the way up, all the way up, and from this ruler here on the top, I'm going to click and drag a margin down. So we're going for 0.25. And you can see it's over there calibrating on the left. I've got 0.24. There we go. Oops, it's kind of shifted on me. 0.254. And I'm going to do the same on the long side of the page. So again, I'm going to click and drag and go to 0.25 to 5. And then you can just repeat that on either side of the page, and you will have a document that you can work within. So what I could do in this case is I could move all of these lines, and they'll just kind of snap to the side of this line, this new margin that I've created. And I could do the same on the other side. Let me just quickly do this so that I can show you. Let's just pretend that I got those numbers nice and precise. You get the point. And then I could, I'm just clicking, dragging, selecting all of my lines, and yes, I'm aware that they're going outside the lines. We will clean that up in just a second. So let me just go ahead and delete this line, and now everything is still well within the lines of, within the confines of these margins, and we will not have any errors when we go to upload on Amazon KDP. All book covers on KDP require bleed, and this is really only something to worry about if you are doing manual calculations for your book covers. If you use Amazon's cover calculator, you don't have to worry about this because you can download templates that have the bleed built right in. As you see here, the solid black line indicates the final trim size, and the outer red area is what will be trimmed. One last thing that is extremely important when you are uploading is to remember to select no bleed if you have uploaded a no bleed file, and bleed if you have a file with bleed. This sounds really simple, but a lot of people miss this detail and they end up getting an error, and you want to avoid that if at all possible. So if you get an error that looks like this, go back and double check your document size and which of the bleed settings that you have selected. If you want to see how to create a bleed and no bleed interior from scratch, check out this video linked above on creating and uploading to Amazon KDP. There's a lot to learn about Amazon KDP when you're just getting started, including a lot of foreign sounding terms from the printing and publishing industry. And hopefully this video provided some much needed clarity on bleed versus no bleed. And hopefully you're also feeling much more confident about creating your own no and low content interiors for Amazon KDP. And if not, if you have questions, don't worry, just drop them below in the comments, and I will do my very best to get back to you. And if there are any more terms that you're struggling with, let me know, and perhaps that would be a great topic for a future video. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more tips, tutorials, and templates for making passive income with print on demand. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.